I posted this story on my Instagram only a couple of days ago saying I'm doing a Q&A on YouTube. Ask me a question. So let's just jump straight into it. So the first question comes from David_Constantine_. And he says, what's the best business to start in 2023? OnlyFans management agency, of course. But on a serious note, it is OnlyFans management agencies, but it depends, right? So obviously if you're under the age of 18, you cannot start this business because legally you have to be 18 and over to use the platform. So alternatively, what I would recommend you doing, technically this isn't starting a business, but it's a way to make money, would be appointment setting and sales. Those are really, really great skills to develop from a young age, because once you are good at those, no matter what business you're going to do in the future, you can use those to your advantage. Other business models other than OnlyFans management agency would be any kind of service-based business, right? So OnlyFans management is a service-based business, and that's why I believe it's one of the best ones to start with. You don't need a lot of capital to start. Matter of fact, you don't need any at all. So if you're watching this, you're probably watching it on your phone or your laptop or whatever, and you have an internet connection, hence why you're watching this online. That means you have everything that you need to start the business itself. You have enough videos online, such as my YouTube, where you can learn about OnlyFans management for free. And then once you have enough capital and you really want to take your business to that next level, that's when you can invest into coaching and mentorship like myself to really learn the ins and outs and things that you wouldn't know unless you've been doing it for a few years. And so yeah, to answer your question, David, I think OnlyFans management agency is one of the best business models to start in 2023. This next question is pretty interesting. So _Conrad Brown asked, how much per month were you making when you started to feel financially free? That's a great question. I like that. Nobody's ever asked me that really before. For me, it probably was around the 10,000-15,000 a month mark. So for me personally, I never was making 10K. I went from making about 6,000-7,000, and I was stuck there for about 3-4 months. And then I just literally switched my offer. I increased my pricing, and I went to 15,000 in literally the next month. So for me, when I started making about 17,000 a month, that's when I really started to feel like I was the GOAT. I was like, oh my God, I have all this money. What am I going to do with it? And at 15,000 a month, it's interesting. I posted an Instagram story the other day about it, where around the 10,000-15,000 earnings a month part in your journey, it's the easiest and most stress-free part of your entire journey as an entrepreneur. Because at that level, you don't necessarily have too many people depending on you. You don't have staff members who literally their whole income is just your business, right? So if your business goes down, they lose their income. That means maybe they can't pay for their mortgage, their rent, they can't look after their family. And that comes after, you're making 20,000-30,000 a month, because at that point, you're typically hiring staff members that you're paying them, 2,000-3,000 a month. So around 10-15K a month is where I was I could afford to travel whenever I wanted, wherever I wanted. Granted, I couldn't stay in the nicest places, and I couldn't have the nicest villas and the nicest cars, but I was still able to do the things that I've always wanted, which was travel and just enjoy life. I could also afford to buy somewhat of the clothes that I wanted. I'm massively into fashion and I love it. And at that point, I could afford to buy the odd Louis Vuitton piece that I've always been looking for. But yeah, to answer your question, Conrad, it was around the 10-15,000 a month mark. Next question is from Tim Yopalat44. Timur Polat 44. Tim, you are Polat 44. Hopefully one of them is right. Tim says, what do you think about managing models from scratch? So I'm assuming you are talking about managing girls who are just starting out on OnlyFans in general. They have never created OnlyFans before and they're just starting out. Yeah, so I have quite a few opinions on that. First of all, I don't advise it. From a management agency point of view, for a couple of reasons. So first of all, I would never advise you trying to get somebody into something that they may be unsure about, especially things like OnlyFans, because once a girl is on OnlyFans, that's their digital footprint for the rest of her life, right? Her OnlyFans account, so sure she can delete it, but the content, it just takes one wrong person to save it and leak it, and it's everywhere online, all right? So I was never ever trying to get girls to get into OnlyFans. I've only ever worked with girls who are already on the platform. They've been doing it for a few months and they need help scaling rather than starting, okay? That's the first reason. Second reason is again, you don't want to work with somebody who's just starting out, because then he or she might have second thoughts after a week or two, and then all of a sudden it's almost like you wasted your time, right? Because if you put all this effort into their marketing and building out all these amazing marketing strategies, and you're really starting to get the ball rolling, but then this model has second thoughts on whether they want to even do OnlyFans in the first place after like a few weeks, then you've kind of wasted your time. Now, alternatively, this wouldn't happen with somebody who's been doing OnlyFans for a couple of months and he or she is already making a couple thousand a month. So that's another reason. Overall, to kind of give you a quick answer, I wouldn't advise it. Don't try and work with models who are just starting out. The only part that I would, or the only time that I would say like, sure, you can try it, is if you are just starting out yourself in terms of the model management agency, and you have a girlfriend or a friend that you went to college or university with who is looking to start, and she, you know, she's very, very down to do OnlyFans. Maybe I would advise it then if you really like know this person and you can trust to do it with them. Other than that, I would definitely not advise reaching out to random prospects or random girls and trying to see if they're into OnlyFans and if they want to get into it. Right, this one's going to be interesting. The next one is from Saharofi. Definitely butchered that one. I've signed a model. Now what? Make money. Simple as that. Increase her earnings by marketing her on different platforms and collect your percentage, and everyone is happy. That's like the shortest way possible to put it. I've signed a model. Now what? I mean, yeah, just get to fucking work, my friend. Get to fucking work. All right, this so far has been the best question I probably have ever had in business. And it's from Melange Consulting. I believe that's one of our students. And he said, what was harder to jump from 0 to 10,000 a month, or from 10,000 to 100,000? And I remember when I was starting out, this is now probably about 5 or so years ago, I remember I would see guys in the stage where I'm at now in life and in financially, and they would say what I'm about to say, and I would be like, that's bullshit, shut the fuck up, like, come on, that's not true. But the truth is that going from 0 to 10,000 is way harder than going from 10,000 to 100,000. Let me explain. So naturally you would think that 0 to 10K is a lot easier because that's only 10,000. From 10,000 to 90,000, you have to increase your earnings by 90,000 per month, right? So you would think naturally that only going from 0 to 10K is a lot easier. But let me explain why it actually isn't. So first of all, if you're going from 0 to 10,000, and then let's just say in a typical scenario, if you're making 0 and you're going to 10K, that means you're at 0 knowledge, 0 experience, 0 everything. You're just starting from scratch. Especially if this is your first ever business and you don't come from a business background, you got to understand that you got to learn so fucking much, not only about the business you're building. So let's just use OnlyFans as an instance, because I know you guys are an OnlyFans management agency. Not only do you have to learn so fucking much about the industry, so OnlyFans management, how to do the marketing, onboarding, model scouting, everything in between, the biggest thing that you actually have to improve on is yourself. You have to develop your mind as a business owner. So you need to start thinking like a business owner. So you need to sacrifice a fucking lot. You need to sacrifice a lot. I made a YouTube video a little while ago where I was talking about what a lot of people don't talk about, which is how much sacrifice it takes to actually get to a certain level. You can't have one thing without the other, right? You can't just get more of something without decreasing something else. So you can't just carry on playing Xbox and watching Netflix and going out and drinking while still like making more money than ever in your life before, right? Maybe you can for like a week or so, but it's not sustainable. So you have to sacrifice certain things to increase other things. So to go from 0 to 10K, you're gonna have to do so much sacrifice in comparison to go from 10K to 100K. Because when you're at that mark in your life already where you're making 10,000 a month, you would have most likely at that point already developed your mindset. You would have understood how hard work gets you to certain places. You would have understood that I can't say yes to going out here, and I can't go to this event, and I can't go party here. No, so you would have already got those habits and those skills and that mindset. And then if you're making 10K, you just got to 10x what you're doing, right? So if you're working with 10 girls, of course you need 100 and so on and so on, right? Pretty simple stuff. Another thing, going from 0 to 10K is you are learning about the offer and how does the market perceive the offer? What is the feedback like? Is it working? Is it not working? Do you have to adapt anything? Do you have to change anything? Alternatively, from 10K to 100K, obviously there's different scenarios and et cetera, but in most cases, from 10K to 100K, you just do more of that thing. You've already most likely like almost perfected the offer, and it resonates with the market and people are buying it and interested, etc. And therefore you just need to put it out into more eyeballs and people will just buy it, right? But from 0 to 10K, you're just figuring it all out, everything. So that's why I genuinely do believe 0 to 10K is way harder than 10 to 100K. So last thing I'll leave you with, based on that I've just said there, and I promise you, with all my fucking soul, I'm saying this in a serious matter. I'm not like saying it because it sounds great and I'm trying to motivate you, because I mean, you watching this on YouTube, I don't know who you are. I don't mean to sound rude, but I don't care whether you do great or not, because I don't know who you are. So I'm only trying to help you. Please remember that if you're struggling right now and you find it very, very difficult and you find it challenging, and there's times where you feel like, fuck this, I just want to quit, or you see this next big shiny business model and you think that's the one I'm gonna get to 100K. No, that's not the matter. No matter what you do, if you just stick at it and you finally hit that 10, 15K a month threshold, from there on, everything just becomes easier. And I just remembered one more thing. When you're making 10, 15K a month, you can afford to hire more people, and therefore the business grows without you having to manually do a lot of things. From 0 to 10K, you're the motherfucker doing it all. So there's so many things. So matter of fact, I could probably make a whole YouTube video about it. I probably will. But hopefully that's answered your question. This was probably like 4 or 5 minutes of me explaining one question. So let's just move on to the next one. Next one is from Pesa.Zamal. Yeah, where do you, man, get these usernames, man? Hopefully that's how you say your name. He said, how long will OFM stay unsaturated for? So here's like a thought that I've always had, is the more saturated OFM becomes, aka like OnlyFans management agencies, the more models will naturally, join the industry. And even without OFM, like without OnlyFans management agencies, there are still models joining the platform every single day. Like there's literally thousands that join. So there are way more models than there are agencies. And for it to become too saturated, where there's way too many agencies, I mean, it's going to be pretty difficult. It's not impossible. If I was to give you a time frame, if I was to guess, I would say probably about 3 years, about 2-3 years until it becomes quote unquote saturated. And what that really means is every single model has been reached out to by an agency and they've all had a bad experience with them, and it becomes a bit more difficult to actually succeed, right? So if you're watching this, right now is the best time to get into it, because if you leave it for another year, if you leave it for another 2 years, it's just going to become more and more difficult. So if you're interested about OnlyFans management, we have a free Discord community. I'll link that down below in this YouTube video. Check it out. It's free to join. There's about 20,000 guys in there who are doing OFM. You can network with them and get some free coaching there as well. So check that out in the description. All right, we have an interesting question from Luca.grc. And Luca said, what's best? Show my face and everything like I do, or be low key? Which one would work better? So it depends on what you're going for, and it depends on what the hell you're doing, of course, right? So in an ideal world, if I was to choose, I wouldn't want to be putting myself out there. I really don't care about people knowing who I am, knowing what I do. I genuinely could not give 2 fucks about it. I'm sure it's a pretty nice feeling when like you guys message me, and or if you see me in person and you come say hi, it feels like surreal, and it does like feel great. But the biggest thing is obviously actually helping you guys and getting messages from you saying, oh my god, like this has actually helped me, I've implemented what you said and I've made extra amount of money, I've been able to quit my 9 to 5 and so on. That is all great, but the reason why I do it is because it makes me money, right? I'm just going to be completely transparent. Like I'm not some crazy philanthropist. I'm not like what's that fucking one guy? Bro looks like a square. He's like a giant. What's that one motherfucker? And he always preaches about like think positively, be happy. Right, so I just did a little Google search. Anthony Robbins, right? I'm not one of these Anthony Robbins type guys where I'm going to be doing seminars and I'm going to be helping everybody in this world. I want to, from one point, but from one point I also just want to have a chilled life. I want to build a beautiful family, and I don't want anybody to know who I am. And I appreciate my privacy, right? So to answer your question, it's like, what do you want, right? If you're running a service-based business and you're not doing coaching and mentorship, you don't really need to put your face out there. You don't need to build a personal brand. I think it's useful, especially in our day and age. Like if you build a great personal brand, no matter what you release in the future, as long as it's a great product and you actually care about it and you believe in it, people will buy it, right? And you'll make a lot of money. Alternatively, you can just build like a SaaS company or like an e-commerce brand, and at that point, you know, the business is the brand. Like you don't need to put a face behind it. All right. Same as like, for example, like my camera is Sony. When I think of the word Sony, I don't put a face to it, but I know a lot about like Sony gadgets and stuff like that, right? Hopefully that answers your question. Next question is quite interesting. It's from Sid Ha 2106__. He says, is OFM too stressful later on, or is it too difficult in general? I really want to achieve your lifestyle. So no matter what you're going to do, my friend, whether it's OFM, SMA, e-commerce, dropshipping, no matter what you do, it's going to be stressful. You just have to accept that. There is no two ways about it. So I made another YouTube video quite a while ago talking about anything in life that is worthwhile having is typically pretty difficult to achieve and attain. And there's a reason for that. Because things that are easy to get and maybe something that's free, you don't really value it, right? There's not a lot of tangible value to it typically. Whereas things that are difficult and you have to go through a lot of pain, suffering and sacrifice, and then you finally get that thing or that lifestyle, you're going to appreciate it a lot more. So it doesn't matter whether you're going to do OFM or any other business model, you're going to struggle a lot. And there's going to be a lot of times where you feel like quitting. There's going to be a lot of times where you you G-check yourself. And you're like, is this really what the fuck I want to be doing? And it doesn't get easier. It doesn't. What's really interesting as well is when you're starting out, and there's problems along the entire journey. Every single year and every single month, no matter what you do, there will always be problems. What's really interesting is when you're starting out in business, and this is something that I've learned, when you're starting out in business, the problems at the beginning stages, even though they're fucking minute, they seem like it's the end of the world, right? But then the longer you do business, and again, doesn't matter what industry you're doing, the problems are fucking so much bigger, right? Like genuinely catastrophically way bigger, but you seem to kind of not stress about it so much. You understand how to deal with stress and how to detach yourself from money and business, like mentally. Right? But when you're first starting out, and this kind of goes back to that question about 0 to 10K or 100 or 10K to 100K, which one's easier? When you're going from 0 to 10K, you are very fucking emotional, right? Every little thing that happens, you deem it to be like the end of the world. Like this has to work or I'm going to die, right? This has to work or the business runs out of business. So no matter what you're going to be doing, there's going to be a lot of challenges and stress and pain. You just have to learn how to deal with it. And last thing to mention as well about this question, because at the end of the question you said, I really want to achieve your lifestyle. Please realize this as well. Sure, my life right now is a lot better than it was like 5-6 years ago when I was living in a house share. I was dead broke. My mother was working like 3-4 jobs, and you know, she was really trying to provide for the family, and she was struggling. Now, obviously, my life is a lot better. That being said, please, I'm sure you probably understand this, but actually think about it logically, that everybody, including myself, we don't ever post the problems in our lives, right? Don't ever look at somebody and be envious and be jealous of their lifestyle, because you don't know actually what you're jealous of. Because you don't know, maybe that guy that drove past in a Porsche, who knows, maybe he once fucking drove off the bridge in that Porsche, right? Genuinely. Me, I'm fine. I'm not here sitting here talking about, oh my God, I'm thinking that. No, I'm fine. But the point I'm trying to make is, don't ever look at other people's lifestyle and where they're at and believe and think, oh my God, this guy's got it all. He must have the perfect life. Because I promise you, nobody ever has the perfect life with no problems and no stresses. That doesn't really exist. Brad Socials asked the question, is it important to have meetings with clients? Yes. So this, again, doesn't matter what industry you're in, no matter what business you're doing. Something that I was anxious about and worried about when I was starting out was actually doing meetings with my clients. Because I always thought, if I book a Zoom call with a client and I do a catch-up call with them, that gives them an opportunity and a chance to complain and say about something that they're not happy with, and it's just negative, and I don't like confrontation, and I don't want to be told that I'm shit and this and that when I was starting out, right? What's really funny is, the longer you do business, the more you understand that those hard, difficult conversations are the things that you need to do more often than anything else, right? Because again, especially if you're running a service-based business where you're working with people and your job is to make sure the person is very happy and you're delivering the service to their expectations. If you don't have a lot of communication with them, you don't have calls, you don't have daily check-ins with them, you haven't hired a client support manager, and so on and so on, you know, this client, maybe to you it might look like you're doing a great job and you might be happy with the results, but who knows, what if the client is actually very pissed off and he or she is just waiting till the day comes where she can get, you know, rid of you guys. So definitely get into the habit of having those difficult conversations that maybe you don't want to have, because they're very important. They're very, very, very important. You're going to learn a lot through those. And the next question is from Tio Shoots. Shout out Tio. I remember you, my friend. He said, what's the end goal? It's a deep, meaningful question. I'd probably have to sit here and think about it for a little while. But the first thing that comes to my mind, other than, of course, you know, have a certain amount of money in the bank and having a beautiful family. Other than that, of course, which is like, you know, I think leaving a legacy, not in the sense that like fucking something crazy where they build a statue about me, nothing like that, but just something that I think once I pass away, where people are genuinely thinking, do you know what, this guy actually left a really positive impact on as many people's lives as possible. I think there was a picture, I think on Instagram or somewhere on Twitter, and it was something like the real flex is how many people's lives can you impact positively. That's the real flex. And I agree with that, because when you die, you can't take the money with you, right? However, if you impact like 1 million people's lives in a positive way, and they better their lives and they go out of their way to talk about you, etc., I think that's pretty cool. So probably create something that maybe isn't like me, you know, maybe like I said earlier, I'm not like this crazy philanthropist and I'm not going to be doing all these crazy talks. I mean, maybe, but I don't think so. So perhaps maybe I write like a book, or I create something like that, the next Amazon, right? Something like life-changing, but for the better, for the whole humanity. I think the end goal is something like that. I know that's pretty deep, but hopefully that answers your question. Question from TheoGray.official. Would you ever sponsor a racing driver? Yes. Short answer is absolutely yes. I've genuinely been thinking about this quite a lot. There's this YouTuber that I watched, and he actually lives here in Dubai, and I'm probably going to meet him soon. And he sponsored an F2 driver, and they're obviously looking to get into F1 probably even the next couple of seasons. And I never really thought about it until I watched his video, and because he sponsored, I think it was about $1 million, like $1 million that he sponsored the team or the driver for, and because he sponsored him for $1 million, of course he gets like VVIP access into every race, into every event, etc., etc. I think what a lot of people don't understand, and this is what he was saying himself, by the way, the guy I'm talking about is Karl Runefelt. Feel free to check him out on YouTube. I think what a lot of people don't understand, and I didn't, like you know, when I was younger, is why would somebody do that? Like, what is the point? But even Karl said it in his video that he has made more money going to these events and networking with people at these events than he has like anywhere else, right? Because you've got to realize, if you're paying that sort of money, that's like going to a mastermind where you have to pay $1 million to get into, but you can also make money back, right? And you actually are a part of the team. And it's fucking sick, it's racing. But yeah, he was saying that when he's going to these events, he's networking with like crazy high net worth individuals, and these are other either crazy celebrities like superstars, A-list star celebrities, other millionaires and billionaires, other hedge fund owners, and so on and so on. So that is something that I want to do. Unfortunately, right now at the stage of my life, like I don't have $1 million to fucking give to a racing driver or sponsor a team. But once I'm at that stage, yes, it's definitely something that I want to do. Next question. Oh, let me try and pronounce this username. _ motherfucking Constantino Sandreo _ fucking easy, boys. I'm basically bilingual. I am. Anyway, so Constantino said, do you regret anything? Short answer is no. I'm sure you probably were expecting that answer. No, there's nothing ever I look back and be like, oh, I regret either doing that or not doing that. No, you just genuinely, and I'm not just saying that because like that's the positive mindset and that's how you should think. Like you should think like that, but I genuinely just have never thought that way about anything ever. I suppose if your question was reworded ever so slightly, I would have a different answer. If your question was, is there anything that you would have changed or done differently from like a young age, or if you were to go back, the only thing that I would change is I would have started everything that I'm doing a lot sooner. but I didn't know, right? It's like if you can foresee something, then great, but you can't. That's the only thing that I would have done differently or changed. Is I wish I would have started learning about business, reading books, and just educating myself and just testing and trying different things and learning from other people from a much younger age. I mean, I didn't start like late. I started technically 17, 18 years old. So it's definitely not like old in any shape or form. Like, it's still very fucking young in the grand scheme of things. But if I had started doing what I'm doing now, like a lot sooner, who knows where I'd be, right? That's like next question is from Kristaps, and Kristaps said, ever moving back to Latvia? First of all, shout out to you, brother. I need to meet you here in Dubai soon. Ever moving back to Latvia? So at the time of this recording, I can't imagine myself living there for the rest of my life. However, I do eventually want to have a bunch of properties out there. I want to own a few things. I want to build a lot of community centers there, because I know there's a lot of people, including myself, from a young age where there's not a lot of opportunities. There's not a lot of money moving about in that country in comparison to other places in the world. So I want to try and do something to develop the country, develop the city. I have big dreams, so I feel like I could. I genuinely feel like I could. I don't think there's anything stopping me. But to actually move back there and live there permanently, at the time of this recording, no. But perhaps, and I hope so, my mindset changes when I'm a bit older and wiser. But nevertheless, Latvia is fucking beautiful. The older I get and the more I visit back, the more I fall in love with it, especially during the summertime. I think there's not many places in Europe that are better than Latvia. All right, and we're gonna end the video on that note. There are still so many other questions that I didn't quite get to reply and answer to, but this video has already been going on for about half an hour nearly. Yeah, we're going to end the video here. Thank you very much for all watching. I appreciate it. So if you guys want to be featured on the next Q&A, follow me on Instagram at Marcus Hustle, somewhere around here. And yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Hope you guys liked the video. Subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any other questions, any other video ideas, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Check out the video somewhere around here. You guys will enjoy it. I can guarantee it. Cool. I'll see you on that one. Take care.